Okay, we are back again for part 2 of this. We are again from my left to right, Kate Engel, Amanda Hart-Dowhun, and Samantha Labahn. What happened was I was packing up and I was actually driving away, and what they said was with I think it's very interesting because I don't do this myself because I'm a solo, but they had a team meeting, and apparently this is something that occurs with some frequency at Engel Law, at least with these 3 associates. And when they had a team meeting, they realized, or they decided that, well, I want to say additional things. There are more things that we want YouTube to know about, and more things about this issue that we would like to discuss. And there's actually a couple things that I was thinking about as well on the drive back. So why don't you guys just, I know that we've team meetinged up, okay, and we're all good to go. So why don't you just start right away, and what kind of things did you want to get across?
Well, I think first off, we want to make it very clear, because I'm not sure that it was clear the first time around. We're not against people wearing makeup. Women, men, anyone really. The issue has to do with making an informed choice, or people feeling like they have to wear makeup, or that they have to wear makeup in order to succeed or to achieve the same level of success. So that's the issue. If women or men, anyone wants to wear makeup, that's fine. It's just when they feel that it's a requirement for success. So,
which was very clear in the video.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it was quite clear in the video that seems to be a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And so you were saying essentially that, I mean, the video was basically saying, and again, I watched it briefly, but I probably picked up on very different things from yourself. You're saying that it was sort of saying, well, to be a female lawyer, right? Okay, you basically have to buy makeup. That's what the video was coming across. That's your take on it.
I believe, and if my memory serves me correctly on this as well, it was a woman speaking in the middle of this makeup event, and she was saying how it was so important to look professional.
Right.
Look professional, and in order to look professional, I think the implication was you have to wear makeup, and not only do you have to wear makeup, it has to be high-end makeup. And I think her words were specific. It was something like, you know, to be successful in this profession, you know, you have to look professional, right? And that's fine, but to say that women have to wear makeup to look professional, ergo to be successful in this profession, is deeply flawed and a big concern in our minds.
Yes, the whole event was presented as this group, Young Women in Law. We're trying to help out young women in law. We're helping you look professional and helping you further your careers. So we're hosting this event so that we can show you all of the great makeup products and how to apply them so that you can focus on furthering your careers. And there's an implication there that wearing makeup and applying it daily for the purposes of looking professional and furthering your career, that's a requirement.
Okay. Now let me play devil's advocate here. Now when I was looking at this, the people that did it, I believe it was I think we agreed it was Canadian Lawyer Magazine or something similar to
Yes.
that, and we'll give the exact link. And I believe they're owned by Thomson, so they're not part of the government. They're not really run by the profession. It's more like I think it's the same publisher as mine, right? So you've got people that are there to make money. Okay, right? You got like a private entity, right, selling stuff to lawyers, right? And then you've got targeting some of the most educated women on the planet, right? I mean, you're talking about women with advanced degrees. What would you say to, and I obviously I'm not speaking for them, but what would you say if, for example, they had responded? I don't think they did in your case, but what if they had responded by, well, you know what, these are really hyper-intelligent women, right? I mean, they've got agency, they can make their own decisions as to what they buy, and we're just sort of telling them, you know, what kind of products they can buy. How if they had hypothetically responded in something along those lines, what would be your response?
Well, I'd have quite a few responses to that. First off, just because you're free to do something doesn't mean that it is a good thing to do. Canadian Lawyer Magazine is supposed to be they're supposed to be reporting. As far as I can tell, the purpose of it wasn't to try and sell people things. And that's part of the issue. And the purpose of the event, as it was presented, was again something that was supposed to be beneficial to young female lawyers, and I don't think that it is. And Canadian Lawyer, in presenting it in an uncritical format, so look at this great thing that's happening, is sort of standing by that message. And the purpose, to my understanding, is to report rather than to sell. So that's part of the issue. Another part of the response is that even for well-educated women, the conditioning starts very, very early as far as your expectations and the expectations that others will have of you as to how to present yourself. And it's very different for women than it is for men. Do you want to say something, Kate?
Oh, sure, yeah. I agree with Amanda.
This came up in the team meeting, obviously.
Right.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
I agree with Amanda. Women, the conditioning starts, I don't know who said this quote, but somebody said it. It was, the conditioning starts as soon as the doctor picks up the baby and says it's a girl. That's when it starts. And in the video, that's very obvious from one woman's comment, and very telling when she says something like, I'm just looking at our letter here. She says that, anyway, she said that she learned from a very young age from her mother the importance of appearance, essentially, something like that.
Yeah, the importance of presenting yourself well. But it's more specific than that. I think for women, certainly this is different than from young men. There's an expectation of doing more than simply being good at what you're doing. So for men, there's expectations in law, very high expectations, and rightfully so. There's expectations that you're going to do your job competently, that you'll be knowledgeable, usually and hopefully that you'll be articulate. And there's also expectations that you'll look relatively professional. If anyone showed up in a burlap sack to court, the judge would notice, I like to think. But for women, there's more than that. It's more than simply looking professional. It's about looking good. At some point in this Canadian Lawyer video, they were also talking about, ensuring that you're wearing the right makeup. They were talking about not buying cheap makeup. They were talking about not wearing too much makeup. So you're supposed to wear makeup, but not too much. You want to, buy makeup and save up for it. Get the good stuff. Don't get the cheap stuff, or else it's, not adequate. And then there's an interesting contrast, because stereotypically, there are still some people who believe that men are inherently more logical, more analytical, better suited for law, for example, among other things. And women are more focused on aesthetics, right? They take longer to get ready. They're always spending time and caring about their hair and their looks, rather than on substance. But then on the flip side, you'll see videos like this that seem to be saying, in order to be successful, young women, don't just think about the law. Don't just think about what you have to do for your clients or for the court. Don't forget to think about what you look like when you do it. And that's in a sense that that is far greater than for men. It's not a matter of just throwing on the suit and walking into court. Don't forget about your hair and makeup.
Yeah. And speaking to that conditioning that Kate and Amanda are both referencing, I had a conversation with my dad, and I'm sure it's very similar to many conversations people have had about this topic, being that, well, what if men had a similar segment? Would that make everything okay? And in my view, and I think in our view, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's not okay. Because the conditioning for women is on a much grander scale. I was thinking of the analogy of how many women's magazines there are that target this exact issue. What type of makeup you should be wearing, how much you should be wearing, if I can, step outside of the makeup issue, how much weight women should be losing, what kind of clothes they should be wearing, is much broader. I'm sure there's a women's magazine for every letter of the alphabet, whereas the only thing I can think of for men is maybe men's fitness, And so that's something that I think that should be considered in this as well.
And you mentioned, Alan, that you didn't think there was a response.
Well, actually, that's fair enough. Like you had mentioned that, and I think it came up with the conversations on the list. Am I right in thinking that they didn't get back to you, or there was a response, or what happened?
They
Well,
didn't respond to us directly.
Well,
We
they
had a
did.
response. Maybe not to us, but I think it was a response not only to our letter, but also to the extensive comments
Right.
that emerged from
Right.
the
Right.
video.
Right. Across the country, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm aware of lawyers in Ontario, definitely, that were interested in this. What response did you get?
Well, they did actually email me back after I emailed them a second time to follow up on
Right.
the fact that they didn't respond to our letter, and they, the editor indicated, well, Young Women in Law, the group that did the event, they posted a response on our website, and thank you so much for sending your letter, and there's been so much thoughtful discussion, and basically we're not responding any further.
Okay.
So the group responded to the criticism of the event in an article titled YWL Response to Criticism of Event.
You would think it would be a response.
But it really was,
But it
it
really
didn't
wasn't.
respond to any of, if we take just the comments by the people on the original article, it didn't respond to the substance of any of those comments. It essentially, the response is just, well, we put on a variety of events for women with a variety of interests, such as, they say, yoga, wine tasting, and cocktail receptions. So,
Something for all women.
Yeah, that's not gendered at all.
right, so,
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, I think. It really didn't, it certainly didn't address our concerns and criticisms as outlined in the letter that we sent. And frankly, it didn't address any of the criticisms that were even left in the comments on the first video. But I suppose that's their prerogative.
Okay. Now, before we turn off the camera again, and we're no more team meetings, okay? Or if you have one, we're not coming back. Was there anything else on that list, or any other material that you wanted to get across? Anything else like that?
Nothing further from me.
Okay.
I think we addressed everything.
well, I think I would just want to ask any young woman, or any woman lawyer for that matter, I would ask them to ask themselves,